Hey everyone, Blake LaGrange here for today's daily devotional. I want to encourage you to turn to Deuteronomy chapter 27. We're going to look at verse 9 through the end of the chapter, or you can just listen as I read it here. Deuteronomy 27, verse 9. Then Moses and the Levitical priests said to all Israel, "Keep silence and hear, O Israel. This day you have become the people of the Lord your God. You shall therefore obey the voice of the Lord your God, keeping his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today." That day Moses charged the people, saying, "When you have crossed over the Jordan, these shall stand on Mount Gerizim to bless the people: Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin. And these shall stand on Mount Ebal for the curse: Reuben, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall declare to all the men of Israel in a loud voice, 'Cursed be the man who makes a carved or cast metal image, an abomination to the Lord, a thing made up by the hands of a craftsman, and sets it up in secret.' And all the people shall answer and say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who dishonors his father or mother.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who moves his neighbor's landmark.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who misleads a blind man on the road.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who perverts the justice due to the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who lies with his father's wife, because he has uncovered his father's nakedness.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who lies with any kind of animal.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who lies with his sister, whether the daughter of his father or the daughter of his mother.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who lies with his mother-in-law.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who strikes down his neighbor in secret.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who takes a bribe to shed innocent blood.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen. Cursed be anyone who does not confirm the words of this law by doing them.' And all the people shall say, 'Amen.'" So, what are we to make of this passage? It doesn't really seem like a very joyful or fun passage, that's for sure. In fact, it kind of sounds like the opposite. I mean, when you think of Jesus, especially in his Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitude, it's "Blessed is the man, blessed is the man, blessed." This is doing the opposite. This is cursed, cursed, cursed. And in fact, this is 12 curseds. I mean, if you just kind of read it through, and so it's 12 curseds, and so this is obviously very oppressive. But it is very applicable to us. And so what I want to see in this just brief time together, what I want to see is one point, and it's this. It's that sin has to be put on full display. Sin has to be put on full display. So what do I mean by that? Well, like I said, this text it's kind of strange. It's cursed, cursed, right? But it's actually more applicable and helpful to us than we actually realize. Now, we're going into the fall. We have a lot of things going on. There's a heated election cycle, no doubt. There's differing opinions and trauma, obviously, around this virus. There's racial injustice, of course. There's rioting, and the list goes on, and it just feels overwhelming. But I bet you that you and I are probably finding ourselves actually cursing one another, very much as this text is saying as well, as cursing one another. And so what does that mean? Well, cursed is anyone who would vote for him. Amen, right? Cursed, amen. Or cursed is anybody who would vote for the other guy. Amen. Cursed is anybody who doesn't do their part in the virus. And amen, right? Or cursed is anyone who won't come back to New York City. Shame on them, right? Amen. There are very real aspects. Cursed are those who killed George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Amen, right? Or cursed are those who killed the police officers in response. Amen. Cursed are those who would riot and loot stores. Amen. Or those, cursed are those who would want to silence those people because they've been silenced in the past. And amen. So it's much more applicable than I think we would see at face value. But at the end of the day, what I reckon that we're doing is that we're attaching our amens to curses. And what this text is saying is that sin should be put on full display. In fact, it is good for us to desire justice and for everybody to know what the guilty party has done, obviously. I mean, cops killing people of color, we want to put that in really under the light and say, look what's happening. I mean, I find it strange too when we found out that Jeffrey Epstein is gone. It's like, oh, we wanted justice. We wanted him to be put on trial. I think those are natural feelings and good things. But it's very easy for us to demand justice, of course, with our mouths and our actions, no doubt, and say, cursed are these people. But that is very hard to do without actually sinning yourself. Yes, justice must be served, of course, and we need to fight for it, no doubt. But not at the expense of dehumanizing and demonizing one another. And if we're honest with ourselves, we are truly guilty of that. And see, the real sin here in this text, and the real curse in this text, is that sin that is done in secret is what ought to be cursed. In fact, all of these sins are done in secret. I mean, verse 15 says, cursed be the man who makes a carved image and sets it up in secret. And cursed be anyone who strikes down his neighbor in secret, verse 24. But all of these, if you just kind of list it, they're all secret sins. They're all things that we kind of try to hide. And the real danger and the real sin that needs to be put on display are not just the sins that are committed in broad daylight, but the sins that you and I commit in our hearts and in our minds. Now, while the entire world is yelling cursed, and you form an opinion about that individual or that people group, and then you move to a place of hatred where you actually dehumanize and demonize that other person, what this text is saying is that you are actually guilty as guilty as them and are under the law, and really the law screams cursed at you. See, justice needs to be satisfied all over the place, right? Things that are put on display, but also the things that we're dealing with internally where we yell at other people in our minds, cursed be those people. That really means cursed on us. See, this is obviously a major problem because we're guilty of this every day. I mean, so the bad news for us all is that, all sin, public and private, needs to be put on full display and cursed. And if that's true, and it is, then obviously we're all guilty. What this text is essentially saying is cursed is anyone who keeps sin secret. That's what this is saying. And the only way to really have true justice is to have sin on full display for everyone to see. I mean, that's how we get there, right? We need to expose that. We need to have sin on full display. Now, as I kind of wrap up this brief devotional, I just want to keep this in mind. There was one law that summed up the best way to put sin on full display. And it was a few chapters before in Deuteronomy 21. It says, anyone who is hung on a tree is under God's curse. What is satisfying to God about being put on a cross is that sin is finally on full display. And the entire curse is poured out on the person on the cross, hanging on the tree, for everyone to see. Now, the beauty of Jesus is found in Galatians 3:13. It says this, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree. So keep this in mind. Friends, we don't have to dehumanize one another because Jesus was dehumanized for us. We don't have to curse one another in our hearts because Jesus was cursed on full display. So keep this in mind as we go into the fall with the election cycle around the corner and with more tension than ever before. Just look to Jesus, who set you free from the curse of your secret sins, and extend love to one another.